This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 948 of Horse Tip Daily. A different horse tip, a different equine topic, a different equestrian expert every day. Horse Tip Daily brings the world of equine knowledge to you, one day at a time. Greetings, horse people. Coach Jen here, and thanks for tuning in to Horse Tip Daily. Today's tip is for the birds, specifically swallows. These insect-eating little winged dive bombers are often seen as nuisances by us and our barn cats, but today's expert looks at them as Mother Nature's critter control. And we'll get right to our tip after this important message from Kentucky Performance Products. How is Summer Games different from other electrolyte products? Summer Games Plus contains the same electrolyte formulation as Summer Games Electrolyte, which was originally formulated for the horses competing at the 1996 Olympics. The formulation was based on the results of research conducted in anticipation of the Games, which were held in Atlanta, Georgia, known for its hot, humid summers. Summer Games mimics the composition of equine sweat, supplying the horse with the exact amounts and ratios of electrolytes relinquished in sweat. Summer Games Plus contains no sugar, like many popular commercial electrolyte supplements. Summer Games Plus also contains a buffering agent that helps create a soothing gastric environment. This is especially important for horses subjected to the stresses often related to top performance, such as exertion, transportation, and unfamiliar stabling atmospheres. Ask for Summer Games and Summer Games Plus electrolytes at your local tack and feed supplier, or visit kppusa.com. Now, on with today's tip.
You have this mission for barn swallow protection.
Yeah.
So tell us about that, which is kind of odd and random, but go ahead and tell us about that.
It is. I have three different kinds of swallows who live at my farm, purple martins, tree swallows, and barn swallows. So I got my trifecta there, my triple crown. But barn swallows are a bird that people either love or hate, and they don't really need us all that much except for our structures. So unlike birds like purple martins who live in a house that you provide for them, the barn swallows will show up to people whether they're welcome or not. And a lot of people don't understand very much about them, and I thought that might be a little bit of a problem. And some people do have difficulties living alongside their barn swallows, and I thought with a little bit of information, maybe we can help them love them more and enjoy that time with them, because it's just a short time in the summer when they're here with us, and then they migrate down to Costa Rica, which is an interesting thing to know. They migrate very far.
Do you have barn swallows at your barn?
No, we don't have any at our barn. I don't know why we don't have them. But we never had them down here in Sarasota.
What'd you do to the barn swallows that they sent out an email that said, don't go to Wendy's house?
You know what? We have a ton of hawks here. Maybe that's why.
Yeah. We have them here, and we've always had them. Pennsylvania is where we had the most of them. We had a bank barn, and they love the dark of the bank barn.
And they do love bank barns, and that's part of, I think, one of the things that they're up against right now is a lot of those great old barns are going away. And people don't have the same type of livestock keeping and the same barn architecture. A lot of new barns are closed up all the time, so they can't get in.
Now, I will say I've been hit in the head a few times by barn swallows as I'm going to the barn and they're coming out.
Now,
there's a lot of
I don't believe you, Glenn. Have they actually made contact?
Yes, you can ask Jennifer that. She has witnessed it before. I think they were either drunk or being lazy. I'm not sure which. Or I just startled
Were you
them.
flailing your arms around? I want to know.
Now tell me, there are people that hate barn swallows because they poop all over everything. So, is there a way to safely, encourage them not to be in your barn?
Yes. And there's also ways that you can do it when you do have them. One thing to know is you can think that they're very messy, dirty birds if you want, or you could actually appreciate the fact that the little babies back their rump over the edge of the nest to go to the bathroom, which is kind of nifty.
Yeah, how about that,
keep
Glenn?
their room clean. So you can just think about it in a different way. But the higher the nest is up off the floor, the larger the mess will be down on the floor. So one way around it, after the nest has been made and the eggs has been laid, you can put a small shelf, like a small pizza box size piece of cardboard. If you can affix that to the wall underneath the barn swallow nest, you can catch the poop before it would fall down onto your
that's a great idea.
Riding mower or something like that. So if you're going to put any sort of a catch shelf underneath the nest, you just want to make sure that it's not attached with anything that the bird could get tangled up in. Like, it's better to use like a baling wire than a piece of string.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can just thumbtack it into the wall just temporarily, and let the birds fully get. And it's not until the babies are hatched that they start making a mess. So let them get fully established in the nest, and then just add that little shelf, and that'll help a lot. Especially if it's like on the front porch of your house.
Mm-hmm.
That's another. Barn swallows don't stick to just barns. Now they're looking for alternative places to build their nests, and porches are one of those.
Garages and sheds, if you keep your door open a lot, which we tend to do here in Florida, tends to be another place that they love. Until the garage.
So then another thing. For where they build their nest, they like to build it right close to the ceiling, just a couple inches below, like they have a roof over their nest. And a lot of our modern building materials don't hold their mud very well. So to compensate for that, they like to build the nest on top of a little foundation. So if you've got, let's say, some pegs to hang your fishing rods up or something like that, that there's some little interruption in your floor joist there. Sometimes they'll build right on top of that peg or on a light fixture or something like that, because they're looking for a little foundation to give their nest a little more support. So if you're aware of that when you're adding things like, doing the lighting in your barn or something like that, and realize, am I going to invite a barn swallow to this spot? How can I avoid inviting him here? And then the flip side of that is, if there's a place that would work for you to have a barn swallow, is if you install a little foundation. A lot of times they'll take up the offer and build the nest in a place that's more convenient for you.
See, you don't.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And see, Wendy, you just mustn't have a good place for them to nest.
That could be.
Well,
this is interesting. Now, you actually started a Facebook group. Tell us what that's called.
It's called Barn Swallow Loft. And I was hoping to have it's the only group like it on Facebook dedicated just to barn swallows. And just to have a place for friends and foes of barn swallows to share some information and maybe work out some problems if people were. And like you said that they had hit you. I am amazed that they've actually hit you on the head, because
I think you're exaggerating, Glenn.
Yeah. Well, it was a long time ago.
I get dive bombed a bit, and a lot of times they let out a little squawk right at the bottom of the arc as they're coming over your head, and it's designed to frighten you, but they're very accurate birds, because they hunt only eating flying insects, and they fly almost 50 miles an hour and catch bugs with their mouth. So you have to imagine what an accurate flyer they are. They don't want to hit you. They just want to keep you away from their nest. And that's just, and you don't have to be insulted by that. That's just what they have to do in their program. But I'd like people to know that they only weigh, if you imagine a slice of Wonder Bread and cut it in half, an adult barn swallow weighs a half a slice of bread.
Oh, wow.
So if you imagine somebody threw a half a slice of bread at you.
Who knew?
That's all it is. It's fast and it's noisy, but they're really not out to hurt you.
All right. I will stop hating on barn swallows, I promise.
So in the course of a day, they'll fly about 500 miles foraging for insects, but they won't go that distance. They'll cover 500 miles over your farm. So they are a wonderful, old-fashioned, all-natural bug protection for horse farmers.
Huh.
So
who knew?
That's what I like about them, is that they eat bugs. So they get rid of a lot of your bugs, because we all hate bugs.
You can say that again.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Sarah, it's been nice having you on. We have to run here. Thank you so much for joining us. And the group was called Barn Swallow Loft. You can find it. I just found it on Facebook. Well,
there you go. That was a tip that was pretty easy to swallow. Ha! This podcast has been brought to you by the generous support of Kentucky Performance Products and listeners like you. Our awesome sponsors like Kentucky Performance Products help us keep the lights on here at Horse Radio Network, and listeners like you help us grow it. For as little as $1 a month, you can support the Horse Radio Network programs, and as an official auditor, you will be eligible for some cool auditors-only perks. You can learn more by going to horsetipdaily.com and clicking on the Become an Auditor banner in the center of the page. The Horse Radio Network and the Horse Radio Network hosts are not responsible for statements of guests or their opinions. Use your own judgment when listening to the tips provided by the experts on Horse Tip Daily.